We are going to have a wonderful service today. Oniomi, who was going to be doing the music today, is feeling under the weather, so our dear friend Ray Davis is stepping in. We have Rosalind Rourke back to give us our message today. She's much beloved in our Masterful Living community. She's a beautiful and brilliant teacher. So if you haven't heard her before, you will have a treat today. And we have Lana is our pilot today, handling all the tech duties, and we have Christine to pray us in. So we've got a wonderful, wonderful group here today. And I am going to invite Christine to start us off with that prayer.
Hello, and thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Just so grateful and thankful to be a part of this community. It really is a gift and a blessing. So, wherever you are, whatever feels comfortable, if you'd like to place your hand on your heart and your feet on the ground, or with the intention that your feet are on the ground, and we're going to partner up with our higher Holy Spirit self, our I Am presence. And we're going to shower, we're going to blanket ourselves in that brilliant white light from above, all that we are. And we're going to tap into Mother Earth through the soles of our feet. And we're going to bring her energy, her power, her courage, her strength, her ascension energy, and her grounding. And we're going to bring that all into our heart center from above and from below. And we're asking Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael to stand on either side of us. We're going to take those energies, balance our chakra systems, clear out any and all debris, bringing us right back to our Christ perfection. In terms of our energies, we are perfection, Christ perfection. We are so grateful and thankful to be the two or more gathered here together today, joining in the spirit of love, unified in our oneness. That is the truth for all of us, the truth that will set us free when we are willing to allow and accept the freedom that comes from that awareness, that knowledge, that experience that we are one. We are going to offer up all of our prayers here today, all of humanity's prayers, all of Jennifer's prayers that she prays every day, all of our prayers. We place them on the altar, and we are calling in our Mother, Father, God, and accepting that He, she do the heavy lifting on all of our behalf. What a gift and a blessing for us to be able to just hand it over, let go and let God. We declare and claim our willingness today to learn, to allow, to let go of any and all attachments, to open ourselves up, open up our hearts to, again, the truth of who we are, that we are one, that we are infinite, that we are created in love, by love, to be love. Let us remember who we are. Let us remember our power, our strength. Let us tap into our wisdom and create as we are powerful creators in love, united as one. We are willing to allow, we are calling forth, declaring and claiming God's grace to move in, through, and around us, to feel the courage and the strength and the wisdom and the power, to accept it, to allow it, and to reflect it back out to all that is. We share the benefits of our prayer, of our healing, of our expansion, of our willingness with everyone, because we are one with them. We declare and claim our willingness to be the happy and joyful learners. We give up any thoughts or beliefs that we must learn through pain. We declare and claim again our willingness to be joyful and happy learners. With trust, faith, and surrender, declaring and claiming that you lead, guide, direct, and decide for us, Spirit, Mother, Father, God. We declare and claim that all is well. We know all is well. We're willing to experience that all is well. And so it is. Amen. Amen, amen, amen.
Thank you, Christine. And let's see, I know we were missing Ray when we started the prayer. Do we have Ray yet? Does anyone know? I don't see him. So I'm going to say we are going to go straight to Rosalind.
Well, hello there. Are you going to introduce me, Jennifer?
Yes, yes, I am. Yeah, I just got off my game a little bit here. So, and I have to say, with so many familiar faces on my screen, I feel like, oh, everybody knows Rosalind. But of course, not everybody has the experience of being with Rosalind when she was here last time. So Rosalind was a truth seeker, it seems, since she could converse. It started with trying to understand the dynamics in her family of origin. It was a natural progression to become a psychotherapist, which she enjoyed practicing for over 30 years. She says, I picked her out of a happy retirement to teach the Enneagram in her programs. The Enneagram is a way to understand our former strategies now that we have the perspective of who we are not. Rosalind includes the Enneagram in all of her spiritual counseling sessions. In her quest for truth, she has also been a lover of A Course in Miracles, Advaita, the non-dual. She feels blessed by the Power of Love ministry, which supported her through the passing of her beloved daughter, Melissa, in 2018. And we are so glad you're here today, Rosalind. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just thrilled to be here. It's been quite a journey on this topic. I thought it was an interesting topic, and I ran it by Jennifer, and she liked it, and we were going to just do it. And little did I know that I would be taken on more of a journey. You probably find that sometimes, Jennifer, when you agree on a subject and then you think you know what you're going to say, and then you have quite the experience with the topic. And so that was that was for me this week. And the topic today that I invite you to journey with me on is the word normal. And this talk will have implications for all of us as we look forward to going back to either what was normal or a new normal after COVID, and with the vaccines making that all look possible now. I just want to say that the way I'm using the word normal is not the scientific way, where there was a bell curve and where the more average number of people stood, that was considered normal. And that doesn't really have any judgment involved in that way of looking at the word. For me, the topic began about 15 years ago, the topic of being aware of how I'm using the word normal. Began about 15 years ago when my daughter, Allie, was starting to teach as a special ed teacher. And I I must have used the word normal. And she said, no, typical. And immediately I understood that normal and abnormal had a judgment involved, whereas typical was more descriptive. And so I learned that quickly and began listening more carefully as she taught over the years. And the words in education, at least for me as an outsider, went from normal to typical to challenged to differently abled. And now I hear exceptional. And this had personal ramifications for me because it prepared our family to be able to love on our very exceptional grandchild. And had we stayed with the idea of what we thought was average and typical, we would not have had the skills to, and the open-heartedness to love on him the way he deserves to be loved. So I have a question for everybody. And I would like to know, could you raise your hand if you were bullied as a child? So I'll keep my hand up. And then would you keep your hand up while I ask these other questions? And we'll see how many people are included in this. So if you wish to have been more popular than you were, raise your hand. If you wish that you could have fit in more, raise your hand. If you wished you were more typical, raise your hand. And if you made an art out of being an individual because you couldn't be more typical, raise your hand. So we pretty much have everybody raising their hands. And so that's to show us from our own life experience how much we want to belong. It's an instinct. It's not unhealthy. We're herd animals, and that is a perfectly honorable and desirable wish for us to have. I just want to tell you that this daughter, Allie, was quite unusual because I won't ask you to raise your hands, but I know for myself, when I was bullied, I would have wanted to be included with those people who were bullying me. And when she was bullied, a girlfriend of mine said, "You guys are way too nice. You should send her to our house and we'll give her bitch lessons." And I thought it was kind of funny. So I repeated it to my daughter, Allie, and she was all of about 12. And she said, "Well, I wouldn't want to be like them." So there are some young people who have that perspective, but we don't all have it. And there's that really big desire to wish to belong, and that affects these normal messages, these ideas that come from our ideas of what's normal. And that's what we're going to have a little bit of a look at today. So actually, it's abnormal for me to be your speaker today. I did not know that I had any dictates from my beliefs from society that the person who gave talks like this would be on a lecture circuit and would be invited. And in fact, I ran the topic by Jennifer and she liked it. And so I'm here. But there was some kind of imposter feeling that came over me. And I didn't know I had that belief. So that was very useful to see that I didn't know I had that, but it was still in my body, even though my mind hadn't said anything to me like that. And then I realized too that it's abnormal for me because I used to be introverted and withdrawn and a person who shunned groups. So after we agreed I would give this talk today, I kind of went, well, how did this happen? You know, it kind of just, and really what happened is I feel part of the nuts and bolts of my talk today because the talk wanted to happen. My sharing on normal and abnormal wanted to happen. And if you notice that sentence, it doesn't have a subject. I didn't say I wanted to give this talk. I didn't say God wanted me to give this talk. I didn't say, there was no subject, but that is the truth. What was coming through as downloads was wanting to be expressed. And that's why I asked Jennifer if she was interested. And that, what I'm saying, this little paragraph has a lot to do with an offering I'm making for you later about COVID and how to decide what's your new normal or what's abnormal, in the sense of maybe embracing it like I'm embracing. It's abnormal for me to be your speaker, and yet I'm 100% all in. And how did that happen? So that's kind of the fun of it all. Okay. There's another piece for what pushes me to be, and pushes, I mean, from inside, not from thoughts, but is a motivating force, or is a body sense to come outward, is, I think, still a response to Melissa's passing. And I think those of you who were here last September remember that I discovered in the now, when I was being shaken, that I was no longer suffering in that moment. In the moment of the now, I was not suffering, and I had been suffering with stages of grief up until that moment. And it took many times, but after many times of being shaken, to realize in the now, there was not suffering. The suffering was about the future and about the past. With Melissa passing, barriers feel very important to dissolve. And calling myself an introvert or shunning groups is a barrier. And it's not only a barrier to people, it's a barrier to spirit. And the minute I see something like that, there's a kind of urgency that wasn't there before Melissa passed, to let it go and to follow spirit. So going back to norms, norms are benign, like traffic lights. They can be benign. We have traffic lights, that's normal. Most of us agree we want to obey traffic lights. But in India, traffic lights are not normal. Unless something has dramatically changed in India since I've been there, all the cars just go at the same time. How it happens that people are not killed, I used to close my eyes. I didn't know how it was going to work out. People honk, they make way, somebody goes, somebody stops, but that's normal there. So it can be benign. The ideas from society that are norms can be false. It's a big norm to believe that we're separate. That's probably the biggest one, to believe that we're separate people and that we're made of substances that are material and dense, even though science has proven that we're energy. We go back to believing that we're these separate dense people. So norms can be benign, they can be true, they can be false, and they can be conflicting with each other. Like eat, drink, and be merry at Christmas. And then January 1st, was like January 2nd, excuse me, you're still supposed to celebrate for New Year's. January 2nd, it's why did you do that much? You drank too much, you ate too much, you gained too much. Now it's diet and reforming time. So they can conflict, who should I listen to? Which one? Neti neti is a Sanskrit tradition which means not this and not that. And it's a very honored tradition toward enlightenment. The idea is, like the Course in Miracles tells us, we're not a body. And if we also went on to say we're not our thoughts and we're not separate people, eventually we're not our roles. I'm not just a mother. I'm not just a this and that and the other thing. And then eventually, after we see all the things we're not, we find what we are. And I want to tell you a little story about a woman named Zaid Mason. I don't know how many people know her. I didn't know her. Spirit brought her to me this week. I turned on the TV to watch something else, and there was this woman's story. And she has cerebral palsy. She's a comedian, and she has a role on General Hospital. Her kind of cerebral palsy makes her face look asymmetrical, and she has a condition that I've not heard of, which is that she can't stand, but she can move standing up. So she can't just stand, but she can tap dance, and she says she can run in high heels. And so when she couldn't get a job or any a career going as an actress, she began being a comedian and making light of what other people saw as abnormal. When she was a child, she went to camp, and she told one of the adults that she wanted to be a tap dancer dancing with Savion Glover, who's probably the best living tap dancer these days. And the person said, "Do you not understand? You are a cripple." But this woman said, "I am not that." She did the neti neti. I am not what you judge me to be. I'm beautiful, and someday I'm going to be on General Hospital. And guess what? She is on General Hospital now. I have not seen her. I don't watch the show, but I'm told she has a recurring part as an attorney. And the beautiful thing that this show has done is they have normalized her condition. So they have not given her a part where they explain her cerebral palsy. They have not explained her distortion in her face, distortion in quotes. They have not explained anything. And that is so extremely opening to me. I raise your hand if you have a reaction to, do you understand that they are allowing her to be completely normal without a story? And so that makes me want to take back the words normal and abnormal, as many people who've been hurt by certain words take the words back to reclaim them with a new definition. And we have the possibility of moving away from these little dictators that tell us what we can't do and open up and say, no thank you, like the nitty netty, and say that's not me. So with the COVID vaccines, we have a new opportunity. When the doors open again, we have an opportunity to investigate if we are contracting. You know, the Course in Miracles, everybody, well, maybe not everybody, but course students know that we give everything the meaning that it has. But if we haven't heard ourselves, like today, I'm telling you, I felt I wasn't authorized to speak here because I had this idea that people are invited from the circuit of people who have big platforms. I didn't even know I had that idea. So until I felt it in my body and felt contracted and said, okay, let me investigate what's going on, then I saw that thought. And I saw that old thought that I used to be, and notice I'm using the word used to be, withdrawn and an introvert. So at the same time as I'm examining and I'm investigating, I'm also at the very same time negating it, because and say, that's not me. I'm not withdrawn. That is not the being of me. That is a strategy I used to use to deal with people, places, and things. So we have, all of us, new opportunities with this COVID, doors opening with what will be our new normal. Or will we go back? We have the opportunity to go back and do everything the way we did it, with the same self-image, the same self-talk. Or we could realize that we're resourced from the invisible and the sky is the limit. We are not just resourced from these little dictators from our personality or from the society and whatever we've made up from the general populace. So I broke the rules to be here today. I now know you don't need to have a large platform to speak. I know that I am resourced from the invisible, and so are you. Ruth Bader Ginsburg told one of her clients, it's okay to be a hero. It turns out that playing small doesn't make us safe or happy. If you allowed yourself to be exceptional, how would it look? Would you talk more? Would you talk less? Would you give more? Would you give less? Would you plan more, or would you plan not at all and just be a conduit? Are there any masks you would take off? Would you allow your gifts to be revealed? Spirit is ready to assist you when you are willing to accept your gifts. Albert Schweitzer said, where your gifts meet the needs of the world, that's what God would have you do. So who wants to join me full throttle into post-COVID life? Raise your hand. Do you want to make conscious choices reclaiming the word normal with me and embracing abnormal when it fits with living from spirit or what wants to happen? Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you. All right. Well, let us travel this journey into a healing contemplative time. And one of the things that just popped into my mind is a scene from the movie Harry Met Sally, right? Now I guess it's considered an old movie, with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, and directed by Rob Reiner. It's a wonderful movie, delightful movie. And there's a scene in which Meg Ryan finds out that the boyfriend she had broken up with a year before, her ex-fiance, is marrying somebody else. And she has a meltdown, emotional meltdown. And she is being really hard on herself. And Billy Crystal says to her, you know, you're wonderful, you're wonderful. She says, no, I'm not, I'm difficult. And he says, but in a good way, you know. And he's made fun of her for all her particulars for many years, but he's come to love her as she is and totally accept her unconditionally. And this is the thing that we can do for ourselves and we can do for our loved ones. This is the gift. So let's turn within here and examine our consciousness for the places where we have labeled ourselves in some way as being defective or deficient, unlovable, difficult, whatever labels that we've put on ourselves. And it's not that we need to change ourselves, but can we change the way we hold ourselves in our minds? I do a retreat called Stop Playing Small. And one of the things we do is we look at the labels that we've accepted, that we've allowed ourselves to take on. It's extraordinary how one person can say one time that someone is stupid or ugly or crippled, and that can be something that they take on, becomes part of how they see themselves. And of course, if we see ourselves in that way, we are going to present ourselves in that way to the world, and the world will reflect it back to us. So what are the labels that we've taken on that simply do not serve the Christ within? What are the labels that we've taken on that do not serve our ability to be true? And rather than figuring out how to get rid of them, how to offload them, how to heal them, can we just give them to the Holy Spirit for healing, that higher Holy Spirit, higher self? Can we give it away for healing? Give it away, give it away, give it away. Because truly, that higher Holy Spirit self can take from us anything we're willing to let go of. Our willingness is all that's required for our awakening, for our liberation, for our expansion. In order to have clarity, we must willingly be able to give up the thoughts and beliefs, the habits and patterns that confuse us. We don't have to know how to do it. We simply have to be willing to allow it to happen. There's nothing our higher self can't accomplish if we are willing. And now the invitation is to look at the labels that we have repeatedly put on our loved ones. That they're not smart enough, that they don't care enough, that they don't pay enough attention. What are the labels that we have put on our loved ones? They're too fat, too big, too small, too lazy. What are the labels that we've put on our loved ones? The labels of things like they don't really care. when we label things like that again and again, that's our worldview of them. Do they have any choice but to show up that way? If that's how we see them, do they have any choice but to show up that way? Can we take those labels off of them? Can we invoke the Holy Spirit to assist us in removing from our awareness whatever compels us to label other people in ways that are detrimental and limiting, and later have us feeling guilty and we don't even know why? Later we feel unlovable and we don't even know why. Can we be willing to give up labeling ourselves and our brothers and sisters and see everyone as they truly are, the light of the world? This is where it begins. This is where the rubber meets the road, just in our willingness. So my invitation to you is to be willing to recognize all the labels that have become valuable to you, important to you. Let's recognize the labels that we keep putting out on ourselves and others. Just become conscious of how often we label. It's a form of separation, labeling. It's a way that we maintain the separation, keep it going. It's a way to get some distance between people and make them the other. Can we let that go? No more other. Everyone is the light of the world. That's all we need to know about them. They are the light of the world. And while we're contemplating this, I'm going to see if Faith said she would be able to give us a song. Faith Rumor, who's been here many times.
Hi, Jennifer. I know that Ray is actually on our call right now, so I don't know if you want to try to get him to.
Yeah. Ray, can you give us a song now?
Let's see if he's here. Great.
Yes, I'm very happy.
Hi.
Sorry for the delay. I'm grateful to be here now.
We're just happy you're here.
This song, as I'm picking up the energy from the prayer treatment, and I think the song will be very appropriate for that. It's called The Least of These. I've got something on my mind, and it's high time for my confession. To the world I may seem kind, and a success in my profession, But when I search deep in my soul, I find a whole about the size of your oppression. And I wonder, could it be the solution is calling for me? Whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least of these, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it to me. Maybe I can see the sign. Maybe I don't wanna name it. No. Maybe I believe some lies, but it breaks my heart to claim it. And maybe I've been socialized to minimize the pain you feel and just reframe it. So I'm wondering now, can I be a solution somehow? Whatever I've done to the least, or whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least of these. Well, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it to me. I just can't take it no more, no. Blaming somebody else for my life, for my life, my life, my life, my life. Oh. Now I am ready to start. I'll change my mind, change my heart. I will open, really open to love, 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 to love, 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 sweet whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least, to the least of these. Oh, whatever I've done to the least, whatever I've done to the least. Oh, whatever I've done to the least of these. Well, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it to me.
So beautiful. Thank you, Ray. Ah, that was off the charts. Thank you. Thank you. What a perfect follow-up to Rosalind's beautiful message for us. Oh, wow. So much inspiration today. Thank you, everybody. It's beautiful, beautiful. That's one of my favorite teachings from Jesus. What you do to the least of them, you do to me. Yep, it's a oneness teaching. So powerful. And let us now do what we love to do here at the Power of Love Ministry. We love to do our breakout on a Sunday. I can get a chance to speak and share a bit. So in the breakout, we're going to go into small groups, just a few people. And so the idea is that everyone who would like to share in a small group can have time to share. So you want to try and make sure that everybody in your group gets the same amount of share time. And if you don't feel like sharing, you can just listen. Compassionate listening is so healing. And so for those who would like to share, what I'm going to invite you to share is about the labels that you've put on others, the labels that you've taken on yourself. And are you willing to let them go? Willing to be aware of the labels in the future? How are you holding that in your mind now? All right. So Lana is our pilot. She's going to start the breakout rooms, and you'll see the button appear on your screen, and then click that join button. And we won't be too long in the breakout rooms, so have fun. All right, I think pretty much everybody is gone. And so we're going to have a conversation here for the folks at Facebook and those who are not going into the breakout room. If you can't find it, look on the bottom bar, and you can find your breakout. And if you don't feel like going to your breakout room, or you don't see your breakout room, I'm going to ask you to turn off your camera at this time so we can do our Facebook Live here. All right. And so we'll see here. I am going to invite Kieran J to share if you would like to. There you go.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yes, hello everybody. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you very much for pushing through those barriers and choosing to speak today. And Jennifer, thank you very much for accepting Rosalind's proposal. Yeah, I really enjoyed it all, particularly this idea of belonging, this deep, deep yearning to belong. And Jennifer, you picked it up beautifully and went into the sharing about labels, which I think is such a powerful way of looking at things. How do we label? And what it's brought to mind for me is my own experience of the rejection label. People are bound to reject me because I am boring, I'm not worth listening to, I've got nothing to say, my views don't count, you know, all this stuff I've carried through life. And it's played out particularly with my son as he's become an adult. Why would he want me? I'm not interesting. He's bound to reject me. And I'm realizing as it's being healed, just what I've been doing. I've been keeping people at some distance so that I won't have to go through the pain of opening up to them, and then they'll reject me. There's been such conviction I will be rejected, even if it looks good. It will go wrong in the end. So there's been this great defense mechanism in place. And now, with my grandson and living close to my son and seeing quite a lot of them, the tapes are running and running. Yes, they're happy to see you today, but what about next week? They may reject you next week. Yes, they've invited you over twice this week, but why not 3 times? See, they've rejected you. They didn't invite you over 3 times. This relentless voice going on about my rejectability, which I'm moving through. But it takes vigilance because it's such an entrenched voice.
Yes.
And I'd like to put in the other bit that comes with A Course in Miracles understanding, that this is all really about me and God. My enormous, gigantic, unfathomable guilt about rejecting God, and my anger that he's rejected me as Kiranjay. All this is what's at the root of it. And I have preferred to play it out in the physical, even though it's been extremely painful, but that's been the preferred option, rather than face the fact that I've rejected God to be Kiranjay, and I'm really angry he's not supporting me as Kiranjay. So this seems to me to be what's needed to clear it all. We need to work in the physical. We need to see what we're doing as these physical beings to other physical beings at this level, and see why we're doing it, reference God. How is it all about God? Once we've got that clear and we're prepared to face that and God and our Creator and really let it go, then things can heal across the mind. So I'm very, very grateful for all the input today, the talk, the meditation, and the beautiful music from Ray as well.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. What a powerful share there, Kiranjay. I so appreciate that. I really am grateful to hear what you're saying, even though I know it's hard one, what you're talking about. It's not easy, it's difficult. I'm grateful because what you shared is such a clear way for us to understand what you're talking about, that it's not some pie in the sky thing. It's a real, we're down in the ground, boots on, boots on the ground, doing this work. And it is all about being willing to look in our mind and to give up these attachments to these thoughts and these beliefs. And sometimes it is crazy hard, even though the thought or the belief is like a knife in our heart. It's so diabolical, this whole system. And yet our willingness is the only requirement to rise above it all. It really is, and it's an extraordinary journey. It's exhausting. It's breathtaking. It is unnerving. It is punishing. It is all of those things, and yet it can get so much easier. I mean, you've had so much incredible challenge in your life, and so the way that you're working at the level of the mind now is so much easier than years ago when you couldn't see and you couldn't speak and you couldn't move your body. So for me, that's what when I have difficulty now, I say, oh, like I might say to a friend, yeah, this is messed up. I don't like this. But then I'll say, but I've got to admit, I'm pretty glad this is all I've got. This is all I have to deal with. Just this. So I have no complaints.
Lovely. And perhaps I just would like to put in here, that spirit will give us everything when we're willing to confront these fears Spirit will give us everything to do that. So what I'm doing, I mean, just being a maths teacher, I started off my speaking career as a maths teacher, and that was really, really terrifying. But it built, you know, these kids in front of me, and would they listen, and all that had to be gone through. Leading up to all the psychotherapy work that I was doing, and now with A Course in Miracles, my whole life is about talking to people, communicating things, leading groups. And it's the perfect meeting of those fears. Nobody wants to listen to me. I'm boring. I have nothing to say. I have to continually go to Spirit and allow Spirit to speak through me and let go of those fears. It is the perfect healing for me. So that's what I want to say. If we're willing, the perfect means comes.
Oh, beautifully said. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Rosalind, you want to share something?
I do, because it won't go away, so I think it wants to be said. Years ago, I went to Unity Church with my daughter Allison. She was being picked on and bullied at school. And we went to the adult service, and the minister said something that spoke straight to her heart. They said, well, if you're a pineapple and somebody's looking for a banana, you're not a fit today. And it was so basic and so simple. And it was in my talk, but I left it out, not about Allison, but had I not healed what Karen J, so much of that rejection stuff, I wouldn't even be able to ask, can I give this talk? Because you know, the answer is no. You're not acceptable. So you wouldn't even ask. But I had it in there because I felt, oh my God, what grace, what gratitude. If you had said no, or you hadn't said, I don't like that topic, or that's not a good, whatever you had said, I really would have felt, you're not looking for pineapples today. Maybe tomorrow.
Pineapple's my favorite fruit.
But, you know, I mean, these
It's a good
simple
example.
things, you know, that to stay with you, but that it would come back around 40 years later to in gratitude that I can't be rejected. I can't. It's not possible, only in my mind.
Right.
Mhm.
Only in our mind. Yeah. You're such a beautiful teacher, Rosalind. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you found the place where you could share. Ray, how about you? How are you doing? I see you're working out the next song there.
I just had an idea of something that might be appropriate. I'm doing well. This has been a challenging morning. And in the midst of the technological and challenges, I thought, you know, I have a couple choices here. I can become anxious,
Right.
and wring my spirit out in despair and, oh, why now? Why this? Blah, blah. Or I can just see what the adventure has for me. And I made that choice. And you know, it's never pleasant dealing with technology when it's not behaving. So I can acknowledge the displeasure that I'm experiencing, but it doesn't have to dominate my time.
Right.
I have to dictate my experience. And this has been part of this week's lesson. I do a bit of work with tarot cards, not for, you know, predicting things or, you know, checking on it, but it's a meditative tool for me.
Mhm.
And one of the cards that has been of interest to me this week is the Devil card. The Devil card is from an old Christian kid like myself, the scariest card in the deck. But it's actually designed to teach me that I can confront that which I'm most fearful of. And with a spirit of mirth, which is what it is encouraging, mirth, laughter, joy, frivolity, even. I can have a completely different experience of the things that used to scare me. And so I've been bringing up all kinds of things this week that had been frightening to me, and saying, I am not. Conditions, circumstances, memories, people have no dominion over me. I have dominion over them. I am given the power of choice, the power to move forward in whatever way I choose to. The living one has given me its own life and power to circumscribe these things with the perception of oneness, And so even with the situation of what's been going on in Washington, D.C. and the fears surrounding the inauguration, I don't have to find myself in a spirit of hatred. I can use it again as an opportunity. What's this adventure that I'm set up for? This is an adventure in learning to love despite differences, learn to love despite insult and injury I might perceive to myself. So it's been an interesting week, a very interesting morning. So I'm again very grateful to be here.
Yes, so glad you are. So glad you are. Yeah, it's been a very interesting week. You missed the part at the beginning where I was saying that almost everybody I talk to is feeling the anxiety, the tension, the stress. And like our friend here, Kieran J, she's in the UK. They've got such a very intense lockdown happening there. It's very intense for them. And you're in California. It's intense, very intense in California as well. So there's just so many things going on at the same time. Yeah. And thank you for being here, helping to lift our view above the battlefield.
Yay.
Yeah. And Leah and Anna Marie, I'm just going to turn off your cameras here for just a minute here. We're going to ask you to do that, and we can always turn them back on. There we go. Faith.
So, hi, Jennifer and everyone. So grateful to be here. Rosalind, you just moved my heart, spoke to me so beautifully. And it's so weird how we think it's weird. It's kind of strange and weird that we would think these thoughts like, well, they're not going to want to hear this talk. And then she comes on and it's just amazing. It doesn't matter whether or not you have this huge platform. Your platform is from your heart. And that is the largest platform you will ever come from. And, when we come from the heart, whether it's a song like Ray's, and I'm preaching to myself right now, as far as like when I sing and all of that when we come from the heart, that's the largest platform. It doesn't matter whether I have 1 million followers or if I have, or anything. Everyone here today has showed up from the heart, and a vibration of so much love and so much acceptance that something has shifted, I know, in each one of us here today. I know it's happened to me, and I just feel so grateful. Jennifer, you were talking about the labels that, that we are, like, what label is that we want to hold on to? It's like we want to hold on to that label because it's serving something for us. And for me, it's that label of keeping small, not showing up too big. And that might come out like Rosalind. For me, sometimes nobody wants to hear my songs, right? That will come up for me. And and that I want to fit in. That's the other thing that comes up. We're not realizing it's not fitting in, it's showing up as the authentic, amazing individual light that we are. And that is the mantra that I'm going to continue to use in my life. I'm showing up as my authentic light. You know what? And my word this year is audacious.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Whoa. Audacious. That's a powerful word. Yeah.
Audacious creativity.
Ooh, yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah, bring it on. Very good. Ah, anybody else like to share again?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of this next song in particular, the way that it came to me at a time when I was feeling pretty low, years ago. And since then, I've had such a tremendous transformation of mind and spirit. I'm actually going to reflect on something that Faith said just there. I happen to know of Faith's artistry, and I can't think of a sane person who wouldn't want to hear her songs or her deliver them. She's a wonderful practitioner of truth, a wonderful presence of being. I'm just going to go ahead and shower you, child. So just take it. You know, she's a wonderful presence, such authenticity and realness and real love and passion for giving. I just really appreciate that. I could talk on and on and on, but this particular song that I'll share has to do with a person who has fit in perfectly all of his or her life, and fitting in makes no sense really when looked at from the perspective of spirit, because we're already in. There's no need to fit. We're starting from the same place. It is the one life, one spirit, one consciousness expressing as each of us. Its interest is in us showing up authentically as the specific way that the spirit shows up as Ray, as Faith, as all of us. It is that individuality that is the will and the desire of the living one in this realm, right here, right in the flesh and blood. So we are to show up. And this is something I'm taking on as well. I hadn't voiced it specifically as Faith had, but I like that audacious creativity. But I'm showing up as Ray, the full measure of Ray this year. That's the way it is. Mm-hmm. Boom.
Yeah. Boom. Boom. Thank you, Ray. Ray. All right. So everybody's back from the breakout. How was your breakout? Was it good? Was it good? You ready to let go of those labels? Yeah? You done with those labels? You know, it's so important that we have a chance to talk about these things and to share about them. We learn so much listening to each other. It's so valuable. This is why we love to do breakouts here at the Power of Love Ministry. You know, what I find in our circle here in the Power of Love is that people are not talking from their egos. They're not grandstanding, and they don't need to impress anyone. There's just a level of love and transparency and acceptance, because we're so committed to non-judgment and practicing non-judgment. And so that makes a huge difference in terms of our ability to share with each other openly and lovingly. And so I thank you so much for going to the breakout and doing your part to support each other. All right, well, here's how this is going to go. Some of you may know that I had said beforehand that this week I was going to do what I did last week, which is I'm going to stay on at the end so we can dialogue, because people have got so much coming up and there's a lot of anxiety and stress that's coming up for healing. So we're going to have a dialogue again here after service. And I'm going to make some announcements. We'll see what announcements Rosalind and Ray have. And then Ray is going to give us another song. Christine's going to give us another prayer. We will complete Sundays with Spirit. And then those who wish to stay for the dialogue will do that for however long that seems to go. Half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it might be. And so announcements. I just decided the other day I'm going to do another New Year reboot class for folks who might have missed it on New Year's Eve. So I'm going to do another New Year reboot class. So if you paid for the last New Year reboot, you can come back again, no charge. If you signed up for the self-sabotage challenge, you get New Year reboot as a bonus. So you can come back again. And then we are repeating the self-sabotage challenge. So if you did it before, you can do it again. If you missed some part of it, you can come do that part of it that you missed, or do the whole thing. Jed's pretty happy about that. That's great. Yeah, it's so fruitful to do this work at the beginning of the year. This is what I see is these are bonuses that you have if you're in our Masterful Living course. Masterful Living begins on January 25th. That is our first class. And so these are some bonuses that you'll naturally get with Masterful Living, or you can just sign up for New Year Reboot, or just sign up for the Self-Sabotage Challenge with New Year Reboot. So those are some options for you. We'll put the links to those things in the chat. What other announcements do I have for you? Well, I can say that we are open to receiving your donations, and we appreciate them so much. Your donations make these services possible, and it makes it possible not just to pay our staff, because it does take every member of the staff to do their part to put these services on with the graphics and the web pages and the social media and the emails and all the different aspects of what we need to do to put this on. And so in addition being off lives of gratitude to our speakers and our musicians. And so thank you for your donations. A simple way to make a donation is to go to acimtexts.com. You can sign up for our text messages. One donation of $1, and you can sign up for all the text messages and get daily text messages. And I've grown quite fond of them myself. They always seem to arrive at the perfect time with the perfect inspiration. And I love that about technology, that we can use it in that way. Yeah, and I also can tell you that in my podcast, I know many of you are listeners to my Course in Miracles podcast. I've really been talking about stress relief and things like that. So if you haven't listened to recent episodes, they may be helpful to you at this time. That is my strong intention. And you can always suggest a topic if you ever have a topic for me to cover on my podcast. I love to get those topics. You can even put a topic here in the chat today. I think those are all my announcements. If you don't know about Masterful Living, it's my year-long course. Take a look, see if it's right for you. We're just getting started, and already we're off the hook. We've got such wonderful people, and we are really committed this year to having the best year ever, regardless of what's happening in the world. We are setting ourselves free. Liberation is my word of the year. And let's see. Rosalind, do you have any announcements you'd like to make?
Well, yes, I am. I have a waiting list for the Enneagram groups, and I'm collecting that because we intend to do another a big group that has the teaching, and then smaller groups to workshop the material. And then I do a free effortless mindfulness class the first and third Monday of every month. And you can just email me at rosalindrourke@comcast.net. And effortless mindfulness is from the Advaita tradition. That means the non-dual tradition. And all that means is that it doesn't take a long sitting practice. It takes the first time to experience what oneness is. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And if you have any interest in Enneagrams, Rosalind is truly just a very gifted teacher, and we have such a fun group. Ray, do you have any announcements?
Yes. So we'll be starting up some online shows very soon, probably at the top of February. So I invite you to join in on my Facebook page, Ray Davis Music. Look for Ray Davis Music. It should also say High Vibe Records, but Ray Davis Music, High Vibe Records. Like it, and you'll get all the information about the shows that are coming up. Also, something big regarding the first song that we did. And you're gonna want to see that. And then some other things that are going to be happening this year. This is truly an audacious year. I'm borrowing a Faith Rumors word, but it's so come see about us at on the Facebook page, Ray Davis Music, High Vibe Records.
All right, beautiful. And speaking of high vibe, how about a high vibe song for us right now?
Oh, I'd love to. Yay! So this particular song is a song of transformation, where I get to ask a different question about myself. So this is called The Average Man. I hope that you dig it. He always thought he was an average man, average face and average hands, average feet set square on the middle tier. Satisfied with his mild success, as much as any average man could expect, until the day he was beset by his greatest fear. It all started with a feeling so intense that time and space stood still. He said, what if I was born for greatness? What if I am really more than I think I am? What if mediocrity was never in the stars for me? And miracles and wonders was the plan for the average man. For the average man, yeah. All his life he said he'd find the nerve to stretch and reach beyond the bell curve, but never did for fear of drawn back an empty hand. He said, what's an average man to do? So little time and all this thing to think through. Maybe I should just stick to what I understand. Oh, but he couldn't shake that feeling, no. A feeling so intense it about to blow his mind. He said, what if I was born for greatness? What if I am really more than I think I am? What if mediocrity was never in the stars for me? And miracles and wonders was the plan for the average man. For the average man, yeah. Oh, but he couldn't shake that feeling, no. A feeling so intense he about to blow his mind. What if I was born for greatness? What if I am really more than I think I am? What if mediocrity was never in the stars for me? And miracles and wonders was the plan for the average man. Yeah, yeah, for the average man. I don't say na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Help me sing, sing, sing. Na 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 na. Come on, na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Help me say, hey, na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na
I don't know how you make it sound so good on Zoom, Ray. Oh my gosh. Let me just tell you, when this pandemic is over, anybody who gets a chance to go see Ray live, you'll be so blessed and so glad you've been doing those concerts online. What a gift. What a gift it is to be with you today, Ray. So glad that the technology let you come and be with us. Yay, yay, yay. And thank you, Rosalind. Thank you for your big, giant yes to rising above any idea that we're not enough and the love that you bring always. So beautiful, so precious. All right, Christine is going to give us a prayer, and then those who would like to stay on, we welcome you. And I would also like to say thank you to Lana, who's been our pilot, our host here today. She's just a blessing to this ministry, and we thank you much. And thank you to GJ, who also is helping so much, and Sean, who helps so much, all the different folks, Faith, and everyone who helps put on this Sundays with Spirit. Christine.
Okay, thank you everybody for such an uplifting service today. It was awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's just tap right into that. We'll carry on in our prayer. We're partnering up again with our higher Holy Spirit self, our I am presence, and we're going to tap into that threefold flame in our heart. I am that I am, I am that I am, I am that I am. And we're going to use that power and that wisdom and that love with this prayer. And we're going to just call out for ourselves that we're going to take that word exceptional. We are exceptional. We are perfectly perfect. We are worthy. Our mind is the mind of God. Our heart is the heart of God. Our life is the life of God. So let's just take hold of that. And we're going to operate in the now, right here and now. We're going to knock down those barriers. We're going to dissolve and resolve them, and we're going to open up our hearts completely and fully to love. Love that is all that there is, that unconditional love. We are willing to love ourselves free, unconditionally free. We are willing to forgive ourselves unconditionally free across all directions of time and space, across all lifetimes. We are doing this with complete trust, faith, and surrender, remembering that we are not separate. We are one with our brothers and sisters. And it's such a beautiful thing. We're whole, we're spirit, we're whole and innocent. All is forgiven and released. The sky's the limit. So we're aligning with the divine in heart-mind congruence today. And we're grasping that love and that light that is who we are. It's okay for us to be heroes. Let's tap into our courage and our strength and our wisdom. Let us grasp the gifts that are ours to receive. These are our gifts to receive. We'll take hold. We'll be bold with complete, again, trust, faith, and surrender, allowing ourselves with deep willingness. We're willing to be willing to be willing to be willing to be led, guided, directed, and decided for by our Mother, Father, God. We have free will. We have choices. Let us choose love, unified as one. We are willing to allow ourselves and accept our awakening, our liberation, that we are sovereign beings, that we are powerful. We're shining our light. We're holding our torch. We're blazing. It's what we came here for. We're willing to allow ourselves the transformation that we came here for. It's a gift and a blessing to be here. We came here for this, right here, right now. We're willing to accept the miracles. They are ours to receive. We share the benefits of all of this today, our willingness, our growth, our expansion, our healing with everyone, because we are one with them. We declare and claim a lifting of the veil for all of humanity with ease and grace and with humble reverence, that we can declare and claim this and call it forth. We are one. We are love. We are light. We declare and claim the healing already done. All is well, with such deep, deep, deep gratitude and reverence for today's service, for everyone that is here who has shown up. It's not random, it's beautiful. We declare and claim that all is well, and so it is. Amen, 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 amen.
Thank you, Christine. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today, making it a wonderful service. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you. Thank you.